This is SportsRage. I am Morency. Level 2 has begun. Quickest 100 minutes in sports talk and television. That was a super quick first hour of the program. 107-104 for the Raptors right now over the Denver Nuggets. We've got a little bit of something for everybody. It is a great time of the year right now. Talked about Wisconsin-Milwaukee getting back in the game. It's 51-50 right now. All right, it's 51-50. I think it's going to really open up here. I bet the over 154.5, 51-50 right now, still 12:53 left. We got a really close one with Nebraska, Omaha, and Denver. I think Nebraska, Omaha are the play. They're up by 3 right now. Let me just double check something. They're up by 3 with about 10 minutes left. Neither of these teams are great, right? I mean, Denver 16-16, Nebraska Omaha's a 15-17 basketball team, but I kind of get the feeling that Nebraska Omaha are better than Denver are. They're laying 2.5 right now. They're up by 3 with 10 minutes left. We've got Montana. We played Montana in a moneyline parlay with St. Mary's and Gonzaga. And Montana are up 35-29 right now. They're at the half over Portland State. Let's check in the National Hockey League, something that we have not done yet. But this game just started about 10 minutes ago. And let's bring in a man right now that's no doubt not watching the Toronto Raptors and the Denver Nuggets. He's not watching the St. Mary's game. He's watching the Islanders and Kings. Captain Click, Captain Shock in the house. What's up, George? How you doing?
Yeah, Islanders are on a 2-minute advantage here. Got a little 5-on-3 going here about 3/4 of the way through the first period. So yes, I'm watching the Islanders. They win tonight, 3rd place in the division here. They were past the Philadelphia Flyers here. So a big game for the Islanders to close out what's been a nice West road trip. They're going for their 7th straight win tonight.
Shout out to everybody joining us on Sirius XM Channel 159. George Kurtz with us. I'm Gabriel Morency on the SportsGrid Radio Networks. Yeah, the Islanders, with everything that's going on in the sports world, like the Islanders' win streak is like it's like the least talked about thing, really under the radar that the Islanders have won 6 in a row, gunning for their 7th straight win. That's why Patrick Waugh is an emotional person, one way or the other. That's why he was all smiles and giving pucks to fans the other day on the road, because they're winning hockey games. If they were on a 6-game losing streak, that guy's not getting a free puck from Patrick Waugh. But it's been a nice run for the Islanders. Big game tonight against the Kings. Did you bet on them?
I did. Small play. I bet streaks. I like streaks. Can only be wrong once here. Sorokin was in net tonight. A little worried about back-to-back nights here and the last game of a road trip before they come home. A little worrisome here, but I'm on the Islanders tonight. Just going to ride the hot team, the team that's playing well. The Kings have been too up and down. You never know what they're going to get here, but not scoring on this 5-on-3 would be disappointing.
I'm going to take I'm going to jump in on the Kings. Sorry, Kurtz, after this. The streak's got to come to an end at some point in time. LA are inconsistent at home. That's the problem. They're not great at home. But as you talked about going back-to-back, I'm just going to wait for the power play to end, even though I'm going to pay a couple of more cents for it. The in-game total is all the way down to 4.5 already.
That makes some sense. Once again, neither team's a high-scoring team. This game could be a 2-1 game, right, around there. It wouldn't shock anybody. It is Sorokin. I don't trust Rittich, right? The Kings are just trying to find a goaltender. Talbot didn't play. He didn't play poorly against the Stars the other night. He didn't play great either. So they go back to Rittich tonight. They are going to survive the 5-on-3, though. So, like I said, disappointing. I always think that's a huge lift to the defending team there when you don't score on the 5-on-3.
Yeah, the LA Kings has been a problem for a couple of years. They're kind of like a football team. I guess, we'll get to the Raiders, actually. That's almost like the Raiders. Like, they keep on bringing in mediocre quarterbacks. Like the Kings, they don't settle on a goalie. They're almost like the Leafs. They sort of have guys. There was talk about, all right, what do the Kings do? Do they do something at the trade deadline? You couldn't make an argument that anybody was available that was better than Talbot. You know what I mean? Like, there was no – they tried with the dude that they let go to Ottawa. Like, they've gone through a lot of these goalies, bro, where they bring people in and then they don't think the guy's as good as they thought he was after. And it's going to be a problem for them because Rittich isn't very good. Let's just call it out for what it is. He's average at best.
You're not right. He's a backup. He's a nice backup, brother. A really good backup is what. Well, really, both guys are. Talbot maybe a low end starter, but you're not beating Edmonton.
Yeah, but he's past his prime.
Vancouver,
Talbot,
in Colorado with those guys. He's just not. You're not going to win with those guys there. Listen, Jonathan Quick, they let him go, and he's having a great season with the Rangers here. Maybe they should have kept him, but I can't blame them for moving on here. And they don't have a goalie. I wonder this, man. If the Nashville Predators are going to be serious about trading away Saros because they got a top young goalie that they want to get in there, boy, there should be a lot of teams that are after him during the offseason before the draft. And the Devils, we know they're desperate for a goaltender. The Kings are desperate for a goaltender. And you go on and on and on. Toronto, several more teams that can really use a goaltender. Makes you wonder if a team like Nashville with Saros, Boston, Ullmark, Calgary, Markstrom, we don't see goalies get equal value in trades. Will this be the offseason where that changes?
Teams are reluctant. Number one, there's not really any star goalies out there ever. You know what I mean? They're just not, right? They're not available. You have to develop your own goalie. Like that's most of the teams that have won. They've developed the guy. You know what I'm saying? Like Carey Price was drafted by the Canadiens. They didn't win, but he was a great goalie. At least they had a hell of a run with him. But how many great goalies have there been? There's not.
Today's game, and Vasilevsky's not Vasilevsky anymore.
He's older. He was a great goalie. He's a Hall of Famer. We'll put it that way. He's a Hall of Famer.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Shesterkin can be, but once again, what happened to him the first half of the season? He's playing better now, where he looks great.
But I'm not saying there isn't. But I'm saying they're not available though. You know what?
No, these guys.
Like Connor Hellebuck's elite. Thatcher Demko's elite. Ullmark's damn good on the Bruins. There's a few dudes, right?
I mean, as far as sports that I follow, goaltender is right next to quarterback is the most important position. You can't win consistently without one.
Yeah, but you know what? And we can get into it. I've said this for years, and I think my point has been proven over and over. You don't need a star goalie to win a Stanley Cup. You need a hot goalie.
You need a hot goalie. Yeah.
Quarterback's different because you can't really get, if you're a bad quarterback, you're not going to get hot. You know what I mean? Not that long, in the same way you can in hockey. Like, look, a good example. The Vegas Golden Knights. Dude, they won with 4 different goalies last year. Brossoit played, Aiden Hill played, Logan Thompson played. Hell, didn't Jonathan Quick play? All four. They won the Stanley Cup. You know what I mean?
Brossoit saved them. Brossoit saved them in the early rounds. He absolutely saved that team.
And nobody talks about, Laurent Brossoit. You know what I'm saying? Laurent Brossoit. Right? He was hot at the right time. Sort of like a closer, in my opinion, George, in baseball. Wouldn't you agree? You need a hot guy. You don't need a star guy. You need a guy who's hot. So it's at the right time.
Points at the right time.
More on the other side. We'll get into the National Football League. This is SportsRage.
Laying points on the road in college basketball is an absolute landmine. I would not do it. I won't do it the rest of the year. I'm done doing that because it just consistently loses.
3 possessions in a 9-point game in which the opposition now is the clock, not the actual team you're facing, right?
Right.
And these guys are taking up shots. It's just that's why it's the NBA.
In-game live, prime time, only on SportsGrid.
Athletes in Canada, Wayne Gretzky, Connor McDavid, no longer can be part of these sports betting ads.
Now, what's interesting is there is technically a carve-out that will still let these athletes and celebrities appear in sportsbook ads, but it's only if those ads are slanted toward responsible gaming. So you could still have a Connor McDavid saying, hey, bet responsibly on TV in Ontario.
Newswire. Only on SportsGrid.
4.22. The fastest man alive.
The guy just made himself a whole lot of money, did he not? By now holding the record for the fastest 40-yard dash. But if it's one thing we know is that doesn't translate into quality football players in the NFL. So somebody will bite and overdraft him because he simply ran faster than everyone else. It's just rinse and repeat.
The Early Line. Only on SportsGrid.
Anyone that's been to a sporting event, the atmosphere before a game, I think Game Time Decisions has that same exact atmosphere. This is our arena. This is what we do. There is going to be an energy to Game Time Decisions that you will feel night in and night out. The excitement you get when you lock your bets in, when you're figuring out what you want to do, we can zone in on the biggest games each night. I want this to be the place that people come to before the game starts so they feel as ready as possible to lock in their cards. We are going to every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions to get that new information, react to it, and be able to then bet accordingly. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
This is SportsRage. I am Morency, the pits, the players, the hustlers, the people to bust them, and everybody else in between. Still scoreless in Los Angeles right now between the Islanders and the LA Kings. The Denver Nuggets have come back. They've taken a 4-point lead. There's 3 minutes remaining. We'll see if I can still cover this 9.5 and the Raptors don't fully blow it. But we jumped in on Denver. We bet the equal amount, so maybe we can go 2-0 here. Boston Celtics are up by 15 on Portland right now with 10 minutes left in the second. It's a 45-30 higher scoring game. Talked about Wisconsin, Milwaukee coming back. Not only did they come back, but dude, now they're 5.5-point favorites. So, man, it's getting crazy. Now, this is what we talk about. This is what in-game betting is good for. Now is a good time to buy back in with Northern Kentucky at 5.5. Then we get them both. This game's going to come down to like the last couple of possessions. All right, so Wisconsin, Milwaukee, though, now up 61-53. We got a 58-58 game with Nebraska, Omaha, and the Denver Pioneers right now with 4 minutes left. Montana are up 37-29 on Portland State. George Kurtz kicking with us right now. We'll get into the football, but George, New York Yankees, baseball starts in 8 days, man. Hard to believe. Well, 9 days, I should say. We're not overnight, actually. We're not into yeah, it's not midnight on the East Coast yet. I get confused with times. 7 hours?
Do you really want to be exact?
Yeah,
right?
yeah. You get my point. Midnight, it's 8 days. Next Wednesday night. I guess it's technically Thursday morning.
That's 3
I'll just stay up. Yeah, I'll just stay up.
I'm up at 6 a.m. with my kids, so I'll be up for it. No problem. I'll go to bed after the game is over. But
so it's Thursday morning then, technically.
It's going to be great. It's going to be fun.
Thursday morning then. Thursday morning and Friday morning then, technically. East Coast time.
I just know it's 20 and 21. So that's
it's Wednesday.
You're getting me all confused now. All right. I think it's Wednesday morning.
I know, actually. I'm telling you. It's Wednesday. Yeah, it's Wednesday night. No, that would be like on the Tuesday.
Right, now I got to look it up. I think it's Wednesday. I think it is Wednesday morning, right? The 20th is Wednesday. The 20th is Wednesday. It's Wednesday, 6 a.m.
You sure? So it's Tuesday, 3 a.m.?
I don't think I would bet a lot of money on it, but I'm pretty sure.
Tuesday, 3 a.m.?
No. So it's past midnight, so it'll be 3 a.m. Wednesday. 3 a.m. Wednesday, 6 a.m. Wednesday. Same day for us. Just 3 hour difference. I'm pretty sure it's Wednesday and Thursday morning, 6 a.m.
All right. I'm going to.
Anybody got this?
Like I said, the Dodgers' schedule too is ridiculously stupid. In which they're playing spring training games, they're playing against Korea, then they play San Diego, and then they come back and play spring training games again. Yeah, Wednesday.
Well, I guess if you did, what are you going to do? Play inter-squad games? I guess it makes sense.
Wednesday, yeah, they're not starting their starters. Like Wednesday, 3:05, my time.
6:05 mine, yeah. So we'll not, once again, it's 8 days, 7 hours, whatever. It's next Wednesday. Next Wednesday is all I care about. And we get
Wednesday overnight.
Let's
call it that. Wednesday overnight.
That's really what it is. Certainly for you.
Yeah.
For me, it's more of a dawn baseball game. But
so we do know it's Glasnow versus Darvish, and Musgrove versus Yamamoto.
And I will like the Dodgers certainly in Game 1. And probably Game 2. Might be a little bit nervous with Yamamoto in Game 2.
They're going to be so heavily favored, bro.
Well, you and I have already talked about this, right? It's going to be hard to bet Dodger games because you're going to be laying, even if it's a run line of 1.5, it's going to be minus 190, something silly like that, even worse against certain teams. So they're going to be a hard team to bet without paying a heavy price.
I'll tell you what, I haven't seen a number yet. And I'll look again, but I didn't see the numbers for Game 1 yet here. But I don't know. I'm going to look up the stadium and the dimensions. But I'll tell you what, George, Korea, the parks aren't very big. Like, I think this could actually be like a slugfest, bro. Like, it might turn into one of these, like, stupid score games type of deal. I know, like, there's good pitching. I get it. But who's the one most to get lit up? Darvish. Darvish gives up home runs. It's the one thing that Darvish does do.
Get lit up, too. I don't think Glasnow's going to get lit up. Glasnow's a good pitcher. He's got great.
I'm just saying, if you get the ball in the air, George, I think you can clear the fence. What stadium is this in?
I think Ohtani hits a home run Game 1. I'll be playing Ohtani anytime home run.
Oh, yeah. That's going to be the most bad prop.
Everybody's going to be on
Dude,
that.
I've already thought about it. I'm like, yeah. And you know what the most common same-game parlay is going to be? Dodgers win, Ohtani hits a home run, like every game.
That's interesting. So the anytime goal scorer in the NHL when you're the team to win.
Yeah, you're going to get plus money at least. You'll turn it into like a plus 200 or something at least. You know what I'm saying?
If I can get for Game 1 against Darvish, if I can get if all the Dodgers are power hitters, Betts, Freeman, Ohtani, maybe I'll throw Muncy in there or someone like that. If I get them all plus to hit a home run, I might bet all 4 of them to hit a home run. And you only probably need 2 to win money. Will Smith could be put in here as well. And if you bet 4 guys, odds are I'll have to see what the numbers are, of course. But you'll only need 2. And once again, like you, I haven't checked the ballparks, but they're usually much smaller than Major League. Not much, but 5% smaller. The ball should travel well. I'm going to be playing a lot of home run props, I think, on opening the 2 openings in the Dodgers' favor. I think they're the ones they'll hit some home runs. I don't think they can hit Glasnow well. Yamamoto, we'll see. I think Darvish can be crushed more or less hit. And I think Musgrove's not much better than Darvish, so I think the Padres are in trouble in the series.
All right, so here it is. They're playing in the Gochiak Sky Dome. Oh, boy, we're playing indoors. The Sky Dome. For the first time ever, the highest level of professional baseball will be played across the Pacific Ocean in Seoul. The Gochiak Sky Dome. All right, so let me see.
Dimensions.
Yeah, this is pretty hardcore. We're ahead of the curve here, though, Kurtz. You know what I'm saying? Gochiak Sky Dome.
You spell that.
Dimensions. No, I copied and pasted instead. All right, here we go.
Please don't tell me it's in meters.
Yeah, that's the first thing that pops up. Left field, 99 meters, which I'll tell you is pretty close, 325.
Okay, maybe a little smaller, but not much.
That's not too bad, actually. Center field, 400 feet.
Oh, so the dimensions are pretty accurate then. What about the power alleys?
Yeah. 100 feet. Let's see. Artificial turf. Interesting. Wow. It only holds 16,000 people. It's going to be a hot ticket. It's going to be 16,000 media people there for Ohtani's debut, especially it's next to Japan.
It's a minor league ballpark pretty much for 16,000.
They played the World Baseball Classic there. All right, so we'll have time. I'm going to dig in and see what the scores were of that World Baseball Classic. I'm going to look up those games. Interesting. They played the World Baseball Classic there.
What the over is going to be? 10.5?
I'm thinking game one, Dodgers minus 180. Maybe minus 200.
I go the middle there, minus 190. Gonna need a parlay. I'll parlay with a hockey game that night.
So this all started because I brought up I wanted to bring up Garrett Cole and the New York Yankees. So what's the deal? He needs an MRI. They're saying, there's not reason to be concerned. Yeah, whatever. I said the same thing about Thatcher Demko, and so did the Canucks the other night. Whenever teams say we're not overly worried about it, it means be worried about it. So
the good news
are you worried about Garrett Cole?
Am I worried? Of course I'm worried. I had someone text me this morning without even asking, what's your worry level? I put it at 7. It has to be a 7, and we'll see from there. The good news is his velocity wasn't affected in his last start. Generally, if it's Tommy John, you lose 4 or 5 miles an hour. So hopefully it is nothing here. But of course I'm worried. Every Yankee fan's worried right now. The season may be over on March 11th.
The doom and gloom has begun. Normally it's Met fan that is in sorrow this early. And we'll get into Blake Snell. Will the Yankees sign Blake Snell now? They almost have to.
Laying points on the road in college basketball is an absolute landmine. I would not do it. I won't do it the rest of the year. I'm done doing that because it just consistently loses.
I mean, 3 possessions in a 9-point game in which the opposition now is the clock, not the actual team you're facing, right?
Right.
And these guys are taking up shots. I mean, it's just like, that's why it's the NBA.
In-game live, prime time, only on SportsGrid.
Athletes in Canada, Wayne Gretzky, Connor McDavid, no longer can be part of these sports betting ads.
Now, what's interesting is there is technically a carve-out that will still let these athletes and celebrities appear in sportsbook ads, but it's only if those ads are slanted toward responsible gaming. So you could still have a Connor McDavid saying, hey, bet responsibly on TV in Ontario.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid.
4.22, the fat man alive.
The guy just made himself a whole lot of money, did he not? By now holding the record for the fastest 40-yard dash. But if it's one thing we know is that doesn't translate into quality football players in the NFL. So somebody will bite and overdraft him because he simply ran faster than everyone else. It's just rinse and repeat.
The early line, only on SportsGrid.
Anyone that's been to a sporting event, the atmosphere before a game, I think Game Time Decisions has that same exact atmosphere. This is our arena. This is what we do. There is going to be an energy to Game Time Decisions that you will feel night in and night out. The excitement you get when you lock your bets in, when you're figuring out what you want to do, we can zone in on the biggest games each night. I want this to be the place that people come to before the game starts so they feel as ready as possible to lock in their cards. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions to get that new information, react to it, and be able to then bet accordingly. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
This is SportsRage. I am Morency. All right, it's always nice going 2-0 in the same game and middling it as we took the Raptors plus the points in game and then took Denver to come back and win the game, and both hit. We also hit the over to St. Mary's game, so we're starting to get on a little bit of a roll right now, but you're only as good as your next bet, and hopefully we can cash on the way out here. So we're going to lay the points with Gonzaga. I think Gonzaga are going to roll San Francisco, and I think the game goes over the number. George Kurtz kicking with us right now. What's going on in the Islander game, George, with the Kings?
Yeah, we're scoreless after
Not a
one,
lot.
so pretty much what I expected, right? A low-scoring game. Kings had a late power play as well. Came close. I mean, I don't know how the guy didn't score from the slot there, but stayed out of the net. 0-0 after one.
You know what I think the bet in this game is? The game to go to overtime. This game just feels like it's going to end up in overtime. And you get a pretty good price for it still right now. Plus 275. That's the play, Kurtz. Plus 275. This game goes to overtime. I know it goes against your chalk-like ways. But
there's
a
no
lot of
chalk
NHL
here.
games go to overtime.
Teams.
A lot of NHL games go to overtime.
They do. And listen, by the way, I think the Islanders would be thrilled to take a point. I think you told the Islanders right now they could take a point out of this game. They take it and run. Go to overtime, take a point, see what happens here. So I think the Islanders would take that. I would take that. I would be more than happy to take a point. But then again, as an Islander fan, we know if it goes to overtime, the Kings are winning. The Islanders do not. Generally don't win at overtime.
I'll tell you, if it goes to overtime, whatever team I'm on, the other team will win.
I know, yeah.
So I'm not taking it. So I'm just going to take it. I'm going to take it right now. To go to overtime. All right, plus 275. Here we go. Nothing crazy, but I've had some pretty good luck with these. Like you said, these two teams are so evenly matched. Goals are tough to come by. I don't know. Maybe it'll end up 0-0 for all we know, or it'll be 1-1 or something.
2-1. Maybe a 1-1 to OT, 2-1.
But I'll tell you what, just from a betting perspective, it's not bad. Like plus 275 in a tie game after one period of play, because it's only like plus 320 before the game starts, plus 325 or so before the game. So you're really not losing that much. And you can get a good feel for the game and see how evenly matched the game is. So to me, even after two periods, it's still usually like plus 175, which isn't like terrible either at plus money. But this plus 275, I've done this before after the first period of tie games and hit it before. It's not a bad bet, George, at plus 275, considering we've already got 20 minutes done, too. It's not like it's 3-1 or something. It's already tied.
Like I said, they're too evenly matched. My only worry would be this. The Islanders did play last night. You worry about tired legs in the third period. That'd be my only, if I was going to play with negative Ned here, that would be the only worry I would have there. But I think it's going to be, I think it's a one-goal game, one way or the other, 1-1, 2-2 wouldn't shock me either. Although I don't know if these teams are going to combine for 4 goals for the rest of this game. Kings and Islanders both can struggle to score at times. Islanders have been scoring a lot of goals lately, but we're talking against, San Jose and Anaheim, not exactly two great defensive teams.
All right, so let's get to the National Football League. The Atlanta Falcons. Everybody was waiting for the dominoes to start falling, and Kirk Cousins was at the top of the board. I think it's a great move. I think it's a smart move. It's a logical move for the Atlanta Falcons that have all the other pieces in place. This is going to definitely improve their offense. I'm actually surprised they did it, only because a lot of things make sense and NFL teams don't do it. In hindsight, you could wonder why they didn't just go after Lamar Jackson if they were going to do this, but whatever. It is what it is. Maybe they like Desmond Ridder, this and that. We can't really go back in time in this, but as I brought up earlier, Lamar Jackson was on the market if someone was going to be available, and he kind of put it out there that he would play for Atlanta, and Arthur Blank wasn't interested. Maybe he just didn't want Lamar Jackson, but it's a $180 million deal, but only $100 million of it is guaranteed, George. So really, the Falcons it could be like a 2-year deal for them. For the record, they're plus 110 to win the NFC South right now. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers are keeping Baker Mayfield and keeping Mike Evans. They're plus 275. The Saints are just a train wreck, are plus 330. And the Panthers, if the Saints are a train wreck, the Panthers are a catastrophe. We just traded Burns away, like even. So let's just be real. This is a two-team horse race here, bro, in this division. Are Atlanta worthy of being plus 110? What do you think about Kirk Cousins on the Falcons?
I mean, is anybody going to argue they have the best quarterback in the division now? Yeah, it's always the first thing we look at. We made a lot of fun of Arthur Smith last year, and not using his playmakers. Well, that would seem to be gone now. I don't think Raheem Morris will make the same mistake. You got Cousins. You got Bijan Robinson. You got Drake London. You got Kyle Pitts. Not so sure if he's that guy. Is he that guy? We don't know yet. If he can be that top tight end, but assuming he can, you got the number 8 overall pick. I mean, you can add whatever you want to add here. Best overall player. Maybe you trade if one of those quarterbacks, shakes down. Maybe you trade to Minnesota at 11. Wouldn't that be wild, by the way? If they end up doing a trade. Or, Oakland, Raiders at 13. That can be a trade down opportunity for you. So they put themselves in a great spot here. Now, listen. Cousins is coming back from the Achilles, so he's not a mobile quarterback anyway. I think he'll be fine. There could be some growing pains here, but bottom line is, yeah, I love this. And I do think if I was going to bet a division winner right now, yeah, I think the Falcons win it, mainly for the reasons you said. I don't care about the Saints, and I don't care about Carolina. I think Tampa's a good team, but we'll see. And they traded away Carlton Davis today, so they have work to do in that secondary.
I think, listen, if you look at Kirk Cousins, you just take the money out of it and stuff. Look, the Falcons were an average football team with horrible play calling and terrible quarterback play. This is just such an upgrade for them in such a manageable division, the same division that Tom Brady walked into and went right to the Super Bowl. Same division that Baker Mayfield just cashed in and made $30 million a year in winning. You know what I mean? So, it's very manageable. It's pretty crazy to say this, that it's down to Atlanta and Tampa Bay right now, but I just don't think that it's a great price with Atlanta at plus 110. I think Atlanta are better than Tampa, but I can't justify playing the plus 110 to win the division.
I agree. We're not getting a good price on that, right? We're not. And as much as I think Atlanta is the favorite right now, I don't think they're head and shoulders ahead of Tampa Bay. I don't. I like Cousins more than Mayfield, but Mayfield was good. He was really good with Tampa last year. So was Evans, Godwin.
Would you have paid Mayfield? Would you have paid Mayfield all that money, though, even though he was good last year? Man, he got a lot of money.
You don't have a choice. I mean,
I know.
You just don't have a choice. I mean, you go back to all these quarterbacks. I mean, I was just talking about what Matthew, the producer behind the glass here. We're talking about Dak Prescott. You got to pay him. You don't have a choice. I don't think Dallas will have a win with him, but you don't have a choice. What are you going to do if you don't? What does Tampa do if they don't sign Mayfield? We saw Atlanta. If Atlanta had a quarterback last year, they'd have made the playoffs, right? Anybody better than Ritter, Heineke, so you don't have a choice in today's NFL. If you don't have a young guy you're mentoring, to bring up, then you have to sign one of these guys. You got to pay the money. It's the price of doing business in the NFL. And as you said, hey, the Cubs deal is really 2 years and we'll see. The Mayfield deal isn't 3 years. It's 2 years and we'll see where you're at here. And you move on from them. But if you want to compete now, you don't have a choice. The only argument I think you can make against Cousins for going to Atlanta is that they wanted to see what they could do at number 8, to take one of the younger quarterbacks. But then you're probably wasting another year of Bijan, another year of Drake London, another year of Pitts. I like what they've done. I think at the very least, they're a playoff, wild card team. I think they'll get there at the very least, assuming they stay healthy, which we could say about every team.
I had heard, and I even placed a bet that they would take J.J. McCarthy with the 8th pick. But, I had heard that they wanted to sort of get their own guy and not pay all this big money and have the rookie deal because they've got other guys they need to pay coming up, which seemed to make a lot of sense. But at the same point in time, George, it's very rare in the National Football League that you're going to look at your division and know. I mean, normally you can't dismiss anything in sports, but as we talked about, the Falcons look at this, and the Carolina Panthers aren't competing for the division this year. The Saints, they got big problems. Dennis Allen's the next coach to get fired type thing, right? He's not going to be the coach in 2 years of this team, right? The Saints are on the verge of just imploding right now, I think, for real. Carr's not going to get any better, not getting any younger, right? The Saints have to rebuild. Let's just call it out for what it is. And therefore, you got the Bucs and Atlanta. I think Arthur Blank maybe just changed the plan and said, let's just get Kirk Cousins in here. We can win now. We'll win the division. We'll go to the playoffs.
Well, they've been a weird team, the Falcons, right? They didn't draft quarterbacks when they had chances to. So they didn't want to. And I wonder at this. Let's just say you're right, that they want McCarthy. They would take McCarthy at 8. I wonder if their thinking might be, I'm just not so sure he's going to be there at 8 anymore. With all what's going on, we know odds are Chicago, Washington, New England are all taking quarterbacks first three, right? What if Arizona trades out of 4? What if the Chargers trade out of 5? What if Giants and Tennessee trade out of 6, 7? They're trading to the teams I mentioned before, the Minnesotas of the world, the Denvers of the world, the Raiders of the world, to move up and take a quarterback. Maybe they're worried that a guy that they want at quarterback wasn't going to be there at 8. McCarthy, whoever it might be, doesn't matter. So I wonder if that's part of the thinking here as well. We get Cousins. We know we got somebody. We know now in this division, we're likely the best, we're the best or right there with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. So I wonder if that plays a part in it too, that we'll be relevant next year. That's the bottom line here. Getting Cousins makes you relevant. Taking McCarthy might have made you relevant. I wonder if that's part of this as well.
And you know what? He sells tickets, season tickets, gets things going. George, the MLS team in Atlanta sells more tickets and gets more fans than the Falcons do. Right? People are kind of apathetic to the Falcons in Atlanta. Right? They should spend more money. They don't win. Like, it's not like the hottest ticket in the NFL by far. But neither are the Bucs, to be honest. Right? That division. So it's like it's sort of just there for the taking. You're also in sort of college football country.
Laying points on the road in college basketball is an absolute landmine. I would not do it. I won't do it the rest of the year. I'm done doing that because it just consistently loses.
3 possessions in a 9-point game in which the opposition now is the clock, not the actual team you're facing, right?
Right.
And these guys are taking up shots. It's just like, that's why it's the NBA.
In-game live, prime time, only on SportsGrid.
Athletes in Canada, Wayne Gretzky, Connor McDavid, no longer can be part of the sports betting ads.
Now, what's interesting is there is technically a carve-out that will still let these athletes and celebrities appear in sportsbook ads, but it's only if those ads are slanted toward responsible gaming. So you could still have a Connor McDavid saying, hey, bet responsibly on TV in Ontario.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid.
4.22, the fastest man alive.
The guy just made himself a whole lot of money, did he not? By now holding the record for the fastest 40-yard dash. But if it's one thing we know is that doesn't translate into quality football players in the NFL. So somebody will bite and overdraft him because he simply ran faster than everyone else. It's just rinse and repeat.
The early line, only on SportsGrid.
Anyone that's been to a sporting event, the atmosphere before a game, I think Game Time Decisions has that same exact atmosphere. This is our arena. This is what we do. There is going to be an energy to Game Time Decisions that you will feel night in and night out. The excitement you get when you lock your bets in, when you're figuring out what you want to do, we can zone in on the biggest games each night. I want this to be the place that people come to before the games start so they feel as ready as possible to lock in their cards. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions to get that new information, react to it, and be able to then bet accordingly. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
This is Sports Rage. I am Morency. We're kicking it. George Kurtz from the SportsGrid Radio and Television Networks in the house with us right now. We're talking NFL football. A lot of stuff to get to still. We're talking about Kirk Cousins and the Atlanta Falcons. Let's go over to the NFC East, George. Very interesting day in the NFC East today. And Saquon Barkley signing in the division, which doesn't surprise me at all. Listen, the two teams, I thought the Bears were going to be in play, and they didn't take long after, right? They just signed DeAndre Swift after to a little bit cheaper deal. So, but I wasn't surprised that the Eagles were in the mix here. The Eagles are just one of these teams, they just make it happen, right? Like other teams talk, well, and fans, we have capped this and capped that. The Eagles just always find a way to make it work. They haven't won a Super Bowl in a couple of years with this unit, but it's not for a lack of trying. So they do have some players retiring off the books right now. They bring in Saquon Barkley. But you as a Cowboy fan, what do you think about Barkley on the Eagles right now? Would you have been happier if he would have signed with the Texans and got out of the division and conference? Now he's in a division. He's going to have a chip on his shoulder, too.
Well, he's always been in the division, but of course, get the hell out of the NFC East.
Yeah, but now he's in a division on a real team, George.
On a good team, yeah, it's a problem.
Yeah, he's in it. Yeah. He has A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith around him, Jalen Hurts.
Listen, this is going to hurt on Jalen Hurts touchdown props next year. By the way, are they still going to do the tush push?
The tush push, the brotherly shove.
Brother, which I love, but I think it's a great name for it. No Jason Kelsey, he retired, right? So maybe that hurts the brotherly shove as well here. But that's going to be interesting how we're going to play those props with Jalen Hurts if they're going to stop doing that. But yes, as a Cowboy fan, I did not want Barkley going to the Eagles. I'm surprised. I'm not surprised he left the Giants. I thought he was pretty ticked off at them that he'd leave. And then, by the way, you got to love him and Tiki Barber going at each other. Fantastic. That's great. He's angry. Tiki Barber's criticizing Barber. Tiki Barber's criticizing Barkley for leaving, even though the Giants never made him an offer. What should he have done? Just hang out? I mean, it makes no sense here. So, but yes, I wish. I wish the Cowboys would have done something today. They've done nothing. Zero. I thought Jerry Jones is all in, Gabe. Apparently, his definition of all in is much different than mine.
I'm thinking. Well, they're going. I don't know what they're going to do with the running back. I guess Derrick Henry is going to be in play here.
Aaron Jones is there in play.
I think that the Titans. That's the one deal I was baffled by today. Why the Titans would pay Pollard $8 million a year for 3 years. That one I didn't get. It's just kind of weird. It's like, guys, like why? Why? We could draft a running. Like why are we doing this? Exactly. Like, do we? Maybe they think, well, we got to spend some money. We're not going to spend anywhere else. That one just seems strange to me. But so yeah, as far as Tiki Barber, of course, is a talk show host in New York now in WFAN, and he said last week that if Barkley goes anywhere else, he can't go in the division. He can't go to Dallas and he can't go to Philadelphia because that would be an insult, and Giant fans will hate him forever. His legacy in New York. Thinking, what legacy? What is there to remember? Like, you know what I mean? What, the Monday night blowouts every week? Like, you know what I mean? Like, what is there? There is no legacy. There's nothing to remember. There's nothing positive about anything. So, I don't really saw, like, you know, and Tiki Barber, whatever. So, Tiki Barber went off and said how he'd be hated forever in New York if he actually did this. So, they found out live on the air today that he actually did it, and he went to Philadelphia. And Tiki Barber said, that's it, you're dead to us. And then he said that a couple of times. Saquon Barkley's dead to us. He went to the enemy, he's dead to us. Saquon Barkley didn't take it like it was just some sort of playful radio banter at all. Saquon Barkley tweeted at Tiki Barber, said, LOL, yep, you're the prime example of loyalty. I got the deal I wanted secured and more guaranteed money that was not given to me before. So if fans are going to hate me for it, so be it. But I never turned my back on my teammates and always had theirs. And then he goes on. He tweets him again. He goes, you've been a hater since I got to New York. All that dead to me talk. Don't smile on my face when you see me.
Listen,
and as far as Tiki Barber is concerned, too, didn't Tiki Barber, like, let me just stress something about, like, the loyalty stuff. Tiki Barber got kicked off the Today Show, right, for having an affair with an intern, I believe. So, right? I'm just stating. So Saquon Barkley was like, when he said, don't talk to me about loyalty and stuff, there was a little bit of shade in there.
I find it baffling. What did you want him to do? The Giants didn't offer him a contract. Saquon wanted to sign a multi-year contract last year. They franchised him. I mean, you play this games. We always the Kings just scored. You always say that they'll stay. But money does talk. And the Giants played the game and lost. And it doesn't think the Giants wanted him back. By the way, that's the funny thing about this. They didn't offer him a contract. They didn't want him back. And I understand this from the Giants' point of view. You're rebuilding.
And he didn't want to go back, and they didn't want him back. It was like a perfect, just sort of.
Right. He moves on.
They offered him like $14 million a year in the deal before they tagged him and stuff, and he said no. Right? So he always sort of wanted out. Let's just be real. He wanted to get to this point. But if you're Saquon Barkley, the Giants are like a living hell, bro, right now. Like there's nothing fun about it. Their stadium's in the middle of nowhere. The fan base is negative and hates you. Your team sucks. Your owner is like an old dude that's out of touch with reality and stuff and doesn't want to spend money. Like I can go on. Like I said, we're talking about a franchise that could have drafted Micah Parsons, but they didn't due to character issues. So instead, they took Kadarius Toney. Like, you know what I mean? It's just time and time again, bro. But then again, the Dallas Cowboys didn't draft Travis Kelce because they were concerned he smoked marijuana.
Yeah, I saw that too. What was that draft? How Witten was still with the team then, so I don't know if they would have drafted him anyway, right? Because you had Jason Witten. Was he that close to the end?
Yeah, he would have been at the end.
So I saw that. I'm like, oh, don't tell me these things. I don't need.
I'm just thinking. I found out kind of weird for a Cowboys team that the only time they ever won is when everybody was high on cocaine or smoking weed.
Cocaine's okay, but marijuana?
No. Like if you're Jerry Jones, it'd be like, wow. I kind of like, you know what I mean? You'd be thinking, whatever, dude. Like, okay, like don't get caught. Like, you know what I mean?
That's the criminals. He hired, right? He signed criminals.
That's what I'm saying. Like over the years, bro, he signed players that were like real criminal records and stuff like that.
Yeah, scumbags.
So, yes. Like Greg Hardy, right?
He signed a few of those. Right. That's the number one guy.
Exactly. And others. He had a run of that, actually, where like every defense, whatever, he had a run of that.
He was desperate.
I mean,
he was desperate, hoping to get lucky.
Yeah. Speaking of one person's not getting lucky in all of this is Justin Fields, though. So Russell Wilson is the new quarterback of the Pittsburgh Steelers. Gardner Minshew signs a deal, and Minshew got like $24 million, right? So he's got. I can't imagine. They don't pay $12 million a year just to be a backup. So I don't know what the Raiders' game plan is, right? The Raiders are a one step forward, two steps back. They're hard to predict what they're doing all the time. They're all over the place. What do you think they're doing at the quarterback position? Is Gardner Minshew the new quarterback and Aiden O'Connell's the backup? Or are they going to throw Aiden O'Connell on the bus and get a quarterback in the draft and have Gardner Minshew as the quarterback and then have the young guy behind him? I really don't know at this point. I think they like O'Connell. I thought they liked O'Connell enough, but then they bring Minshew in as well, who's not really if you guys get my tweet up from earlier before George joined us, this is the tweet of the day today here, George. So the Raiders quarterbacks, they go from Derek Carr to Jimmy G to Gardner Minshew, which is Duff to Duff Light to Duff Dry. Like they keep on making lateral moves here where there's no real upgrade at the quarterback position.
I have no argument to that. I think they did pay Minshew if he's a backup, you paid him too much. If he's your starter, what are you hoping for here? You're in a division with Pat Mahomes, Herbert. I mean, we don't know what Denver's going to do, but he's way behind those two. Is this allowing you to play the game at when you want to stay at 13? Okay, if a quarterback falls to us at 13, great. We'll take one. But we're not going to trade up for one. And if we don't get a quarterback, we'll take whatever the best player available is, and we'll go with Minshew this year. Oh, Minshew and O'Connell will battle. It's a weird line to take on him. And I like Minshew. I think he's a very good backup, a low-end starting quarterback. I think he'd be a very good backup on a team like the Jets. If you worry about Aaron Rodgers getting hurt again, you could survive 4 to 6 games with Minshew playing, where you won't lose all that much. But starting quarterback all year long, what are you hoping for here? If everything hits, you're 9-8, maybe. So
no,
weird.
I agree.
I just wonder if this allows them not to trade up for a quarterback. They'll hope one falls to number 13.
I think Minshew's good, but Minshew's good like a backup goalie's good in limited doses. He's good because he doesn't play every night. And you're right. Like, Minshew can manage this thing for a month or something. But you saw, like, when it got real for the Colts late, he started turning the ball over. And it was like he's, like, so unmobile. And it was like, oh, yeah, we're kind of remembering. Like, good thing Anthony Richards is going to be back next year. Right? One of those type of deals. But he got them there. He carried things a bit. But, I don't know, like I said, like, at this point, you got Aiden O'Connell there and Gardner Minshew. So, really? It's like they're saying, if you got 2 quarterbacks, you don't have one, and/or are they about to throw Aiden O'Connell under the bus, which would surprise me because I think they like him. So I don't, like I said, it was kind of, that was one of the weird moves. And look at the Raiders today, too. They let Jacobs go. They didn't want to pay Jacobs. And then Green Bay gives Jacobs the money, which surprised people because Green Bay usually aren't really into free agency stuff very much. And then specifically a running back. And Aaron Jones was good when he was on the field for them, but they told Aaron Jones, we're going to release you, you're done. And I think they just don't trust Aaron Jones to stay healthy at this juncture of his career. What do you make of bringing Jacobs into the Packers offense?
Oh,
and by the way, the Raiders now don't have a running back either. So they lose a running back and they bring in Gardner Minshew.
I think Derrick Henry would look good in a Raiders uniform for what it's worth. But I think you said it perfectly there.
He'd look good in any uniform. The guy's such
star. He should have a star on his helmet, okay?
He'd look good, like you say, he'd look good in Dallas, too. Yeah, I'm surprised that hasn't happened yet, actually, but whatever. I don't, maybe Jerry seems to be asleep at the wheel.
They're all in, Gabe. Don't worry. They're all in. Yeah, all in. Whatever.
If I was the Cowboys, I would go after T. Higgins.
He wants so much money. You got other problems. You got to sign Micah. You got to sign
I'm
Dak.
just telling you, if you want to
Lamb.
get players, you want to win. I know. I'm just saying.
No, I don't see that. I just don't. I'd like it, but I don't see it. Anyway, as far as Aaron Jones is concerned, I think you said it perfectly. By the way, when both guys are healthy, Jones is the better player. Jacobs will play more games than Jones. If you have Jones, you need a running back 1B or a really good backup because Jones, he's going to get hurt for what? 4 games, 5 games minimum, but he's the better player when both guys are on the field.
And Jacobs has a lot of carries over the years. He touched the ball a lot, and he sort of knew that. Like, he sort of gets, like, that's what these teams do. They'll run the running back into the ground and then let him go after. But today, for all the talk about how running backs don't get paid, running backs got paid today. Pollard got $24 million.
Laying points on the road in college basketball is an absolute landmine. I would not do it. I won't do it the rest of the year. I'm done doing that because it just consistently loses.
I mean, 3 possessions in a 9-point game in which the opposition now is the clock, not the actual team you're facing, right?
Right.
And these guys are taking up shots. I mean, it's just like, that's why it's the NBA.
In-game live, prime time, only on SportsGrid.
Athletes in Canada, Wayne Gretzky, Connor McDavid, no longer can be part of these sports betting ads.
Now, what's interesting is there is technically a carve-out that will still let these athletes and celebrities appear in sportsbook ads, but it's only if those ads are slanted toward responsible gaming. So you could still have a Connor McDavid saying, hey, bet responsibly on TV in Ontario.
Newswire. Only on SportsGrid.
4.22. The fastest man alive.
The guy just made himself a whole lot of money, did he not? By now holding the record for the fastest 40-yard dash. But if it's one thing we know is that doesn't translate into quality football players in the NFL. So somebody will bite and overdraft him because he simply ran faster than everyone else. It's just rinse and repeat.
The early line. Only on SportsGrid.
Anyone that's been to a sporting event, the atmosphere before a game, I think Game Time Decisions has that same exact atmosphere. This is our arena. This is what we do. There is going to be an energy to Game Time Decisions that you will feel night in and night out. The excitement you get when you lock your bets in, when you're figuring out what you want to do, we can zone in on the biggest games each night. I want this to be the place that people come to before the game starts so they feel as ready as possible to lock in their cards. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions to get that new information, react to it, and be able to then bet accordingly. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
This is SportsRage. We're at a 3-minute warning, level 2. So the NFC East odds right now, the Dallas Cowboys are favored plus 110. The Philadelphia Eagles are plus 140. Washington are plus 850. The Giants are plus 950. That's how unrespected the Giants are. Like they're behind the Washington Commanders at plus 950. Do you think that the Cowboys, this is a division where a new team wins every year as well, right? So it's almost automatic.
Since 03-04. That's the last time the same team won. So it's been 20 years. No, I'll give you Philadelphia.
So it's Philadelphia.
I just told you during the break. The Cowboys.
Well, it's another two-team race. It's another two-team race here, right? Like Washington. Listen, Washington have some players actually. You know, they might be scrappy and whatever. We'll see what they do with the quarterback, with their pick and stuff. But they're still a couple of years away. The Giants are whatever. The Giants are like lost at sea type of deal now, it seems. They did do some good moves today, so we'll see if they have a good draft, if they can maybe salvage this. But it's between the Eagles and the Cowboys, and the Eagles are a good franchise with a bunch of good players. The wheels just fell off over the last month of the season last year. I would expect them to be much better again next year.
Agreed. I said, no team has won this division back-to-back since 03-04. So that alone makes you not go Cowboys. But the Cowboys have lost Tyron Smith. They're not going to re-sign him. We need a new left tackle. They lost their center today. You need a new center. You lost your running back. You need a new running back. You lost one of your defenseman linemen. Plus, you had the problems at linebacker. You need run stuffers on this team here. And you got to figure out how to re-sign Dak. All right, so the Cowboys are sort of a mess right now when you think about it here. Yeah, I'd be on the Eagles to win the division. I think they're more intact right now. Whatever happened at the end of last season is over. Although I do think losing Jason Kelce will be a big loss for that team. But Howie Roseman, he'll put it back together. He always does.
Very aggressive general manager and an ownership group that's been willing to spend money, as we've seen. All right, hang in, Kurtz. We'll get a couple of best bets from Kurtz on the way out. And I guess next time we'll really start to get into the baseball futures. It's time to start nailing these things down. The late night anger match for class.